When I saw that DE had released a new Augment mod for Frost, I immediately wondered, who the hell is Frost? Then I had a vague recollection of a Warframe with that name. So I checked my arsenal, and sure enough, there he was. On the floor. In the back. Corner. Under a few cases of Katir fireworks. Anyway, in today's Quick and Dirty, I'm going to blow the cobwebs off, then take a look at that Augment. See if I can make a build that not only utilizes it, but also turns Frost into a legit Steel Path Acolyte Hunter. Quam Salajiwan, friends. And, honestly, I'm really glad it's not the beginning of April, or no one would believe I spent a day working on a Frost build. But not only is it true, I'm pretty excited about the results. So let's look at this new Augment mod. It's called Biting Frost, and it's available from Cephalon Suda or Steel Meridian. The Augment does exactly what it says on the card, plus 200% crit chance and plus 200% crit damage against frozen bad guys.
If only there was someone out there who loved you.
What?
Oh, come on, not that kind of frozen bad guy. Talking about enemies that become afflicted with the frozen condition. And though there are a handful of different ways it can happen, Frost's fourth ability, Avalanche, has a 100% chance to freeze enemies, as well as a generous AoE and built-in armor strip, making it the preferred method to proc this Augment. Now you should know that the 200% crit chance and crit damage provided by the mod is not affected by ability strength, and is a multiplicative bonus. This means, for example, oy vey. We lost Betty White, but we still have you. What an unfair world. So if we look at the Kuva Brahma with its base crit chance of 35% and base multiplier of 2.1x, Biting Frost provides another 70% and 4.2x for a total of 105% crit chance and 6.3x crit multiplier. But that's not even factoring in the mods, where you'll get another 70% and 2.5x if you're using my build, which then puts the totals at 175% crit chance and 8.8x multiplier. All that crit chance means we'll be getting slash procs through Hunter munitions nonstop, and the enormous multiplier will crank up the bleed damage to crazy numbers. So the only issue becomes how to fit the new Augment into our existing Frost builds. Alright, no one's actually made a Frost build since the 1900s, before frames like Cora and Gara and Protea sent them to the unemployment office. Starting from scratch then. I'm using Combat Discipline in the Aura slot, which has us taking damage to health whenever we kill an enemy. That's paired with Arcane Avenger, which gives us an additive crit chance bonus of 45% and has a chance to proc whenever we take damage. And the reason why we don't care about taking damage is because we'll be running Gloom, which gives us lifesteal on all attacks. Killing enemies causes us to both lose and gain health, so it's a wash, and it means we don't even notice that aspect. However, the flat additive 45% crit chance from Arcane Avenger is quite noticeable, especially when it's applied to a weapon with low base crit chance. Kuva Nucor, for example, has a massive 5x multiplier, but only 7% crit chance baseline. Sure, the Biting Frost Augment bumps crit chance up another 14%, and the multiplier by 10x, but with the 45% from Arcane Avenger thrown in, we're at 66% total crit chance, and because our Kuva Nucor build uses Prime Target Cracker, our multiplier goes up beyond 20x. Gigawatt! Let me turn up the volume a bit so you can hear what it sounds like when Steel Path enemies are hit with a 20x crit multiplier. Oh yeah, that's some Nidus Live quality ASMR right there. Now, if you don't have Combat Discipline, Arcane Avenger, and/or Gloom, or you simply don't want to run this style, you can choose whatever you're comfortable with in those spots, and the build will still function beautifully with weapons that have decent crit stats to start with. What this setup does is allow for a lot more flexibility with your weapon choice. The rest of the build comes together like this: enough duration and efficiency to get Gloom down to minimum energy cost, which also allows us to spam Snow Globe and Avalanche. Enough range to cover our immediate area with Avalanche, but not so much that we freeze enemies in other rooms and stagger enemy spawns. The ability strength gives Avalanche 67% armor strip, and each instance of Snow Globe 8,400 HP. Obviously we have the Biting Frost Augment, and we also have Primed Flow and Arcane Energize to manage our energy, and Prime Sure-Footed because you're probably going to be using an explodey weapon. If you don't have PSF, use Handspring instead to help mitigate self-stagger. As for how the build plays, I like to set up a snow globe in an area where enemies need to get close to get a shot at me. This limits the amount of damage the bubble takes from distant enemies. Keep in mind that casting a snow globe inside of an existing instance of the ability reinforces the original globe by adding the new one's HP to the current one's total, up to a maximum of 1 million HP. So if we spam snow globe 10 times in the same spot, we end up with a protective bubble that can absorb 84,000 damage before it pops. It would take 120 instances to reach the HP cap, and that's assuming the globe takes no damage. So I recommend keeping an eye on your bubble's health in the bottom right, under the ability icon, and regularly throwing a dozen or more new globes into the existing one to beef up your protection. As long as your globe is healthy and Gloom is running, you'll be able to safely freeze enemies with Avalanche and decorate the room with their insides. As for Acolytes, well, unfortunately that's one area the Augment doesn't offer any help. Acolytes can't be frozen, so you'll have to deal with them without the additional 200% crit chance and multiplier. Alright, that should be everything you need to get your Frost back in fighting condition. Well, minus a good dust rag and some WD-40.
Oh, oil my arms, please. Oil my elbows.
Hey, let me know in the comments which weapons you enjoy using the most with this build. And as always, head over to apocryphate.com if you need a build for any of them. I've already covered more than 125 weapons, with more added regularly.